This is War Room Moments, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and most relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. War Room Moments is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board. Here's your host, Jason Miller.
Hey, welcome to today's War Room Moment. Today I have Ivan Alvarez with us today. Ivan, welcome.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Ivan and I have known each other for a lot of years, and Ivan's got some really great experience to share today. Ivan, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what your superpowers are?
Absolutely. So as Jason said, my name is Ivan Alvarez, originally from Honduras. Came to the United States at the age of 7, could not speak one word of English, but came here because we wanted a better life. Went into the United States Air Force right out of high school for about 10 years. That's where I learned about entrepreneurship. Been doing that for 33 years now. Also started doing high ticket sales while I was in the military. So I've been doing high ticket sales for 27 years, and I've been a business and a mindset coach for the last 14, having coached almost 9,000 students and entrepreneurs. Married almost 27 years with 2 daughters, and I live in Abilene, Texas, which is about 3 hours west of Dallas. My superpower, Jason, is more than likely coaching. And the reason for it is it's what's made me who I am today. It's why I've become such a sought after sales professional. It's because I can really get into that one layer deeper when I'm talking to people. So I would say my superpower is coaching.
Yeah, I would agree. And, you know, the really cool thing about what you do, Ivan, is you just have conversations with people and they're not sales conversations. And that's the beauty behind what you do, in my opinion. That's the real superpower is, you know, you don't take people through this yo-yo of emotion crap like you hear a lot of salespeople do. You know, it's a natural process. I've heard it firsthand. So it's a natural process that people get to make the buying decision themselves. And that's not how most salespeople work. And for that, I'm very appreciative that there are people like you out there that are out there doing holistic sales. That's what I call it.
I love that.
Holistic natural sales. That's what I would call it. So, but well, great. Well, kind of segueing into, you know, sales and all those things. What was the discussion you wanted to dump some value on today with the audience?
Absolutely. Well, here's the reality, Jason. Everybody is selling, always. Does not matter whether you're selling in your business life, whether you're selling in your personal life. So if that in fact is the case, shouldn't you learn how to sell? Shouldn't you learn how to do the holistic sale process, as Jason was just saying? So let's talk a little bit about that. What exactly is a sale? It's really just having someone realize that what you're offering might be a solution for them. That's really at the heart of it. So I want to talk a little bit about what does that conversation look like? Too many times, I think people are always trying to push off their own agenda, their own opinion to someone else. And the reality of it is, and I've heard this, I don't remember who it was that quoted this, but it's stuck with me to this day. People don't care about you until they know you care about them. So at the very beginning of that conversation, people need to feel a connection with you. And the only way that happens is they need to know you truly care about them. And I'm not talking about this BS where you're giving them, comments and things that are not realistic or not very genuine. Be genuine when you're talking to someone. I would also say that your posture, not just the physical posture, but also your verbal posture, your psychological posture, the energy that you're putting out should be that of a positive person, so that someone is actually feeling comfortable being able to truly open up. One of the greatest signs that you're actually doing that when you're talking to someone is when they start to match what it is that you're doing. So Let's talk about the essence of the conversation. I believe for you to really get someone to open up is you've got to be very, very real and very truthful with them. I.e., so goes something like this. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I know your time is valuable and I don't want to waste it. The whole purpose of this call is pause. What is the one thing people value most in life? It's their time. And if you right up front, let them know, I don't want to waste your time. This is the purpose of the call. That alone brings down the stress level. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. It's, you look at most traditional sales, right? And it's this, it's more of a push, right? So it's that constant push of, I just want to sell this because I want to make a commission as a sales guy, right? So that's like, I wouldn't even say it's old school. It's just garbage is really what it is. And, one of my golden rules for selling myself, and I'm nowhere on the level of sales as you are, but I'm just saying for my own self is, the intro is the most important thing for me. And I let them talk and I don't interrupt. I just listen. If it takes them 30 minutes to get out what they want to say, let them get it out what they want to say. Because the second you cut them off, because your time, it doesn't fit in your timeline, right? Well, the second you do that, you just put a wall up.
Agreed.
Because people want to feel like you're listening. And then once they know you've listened, then you can introduce yourself and what you can do for them. But what's in it for them? The with them, right? It's the what is in it for them. So that's something I've always felt the most important part of that whole call is the opening of it.
Agreed. And not only just the opening and the listening. I don't believe enough salespeople summarize what they heard. If you really want someone to know that you truly were listening and not just hearing the words coming out of their mouths, summarize. Sounds something very similar to this. Jason, I want to make sure I understood and heard you loud and clear. Is it okay if I kind of share with you what I heard? What is someone going to say to that? Absolutely, yeah. So here's what I heard you say. And then you literally just repeat exactly what they said. And it's amazing to me. Remember, we were talking about there's got to be that trust factor right off the bat. That alone will establish trust.
Right. That's a military thing that you're talking about. I used to do that to lieutenant colonels and colonels all the time. When they would say, hey, take your boys out and go do this. So what you're asking me to do is, are you sure that's what you're asking me to do? Right. So, but no, you're absolutely right. Because, somebody gives you an objection, right? And then, you can say, well, hey, can I sum up this conversation to this point? So what you're saying is you're saying, no, you don't need this. And this is the reason why. But then why did you come to this call then? If you didn't need this, right?
Love that.
Because you came to the call already because you identified a problem. I have a solution for you. So is this not a problem anymore? That's fine with me if it's not. But if it still is, let's figure out a way to work through it together as a team and solve this problem for you and provide you a solution. And I think today I can provide that solution to you. How does that sound? Right. So
looks like you have the same gifting that I do.
And I probably couldn't even repeat that again.
I love it. You're absolutely 100% right. People need to know that they're being heard. I think that's one of the skills that has been lost in today's society. Yeah. People don't no longer really actively listen to what someone has to say. because they may not feel it's important enough, or what they want to say is more important to them. You have got to become a great listener and be able to summarize what someone says to you so that they feel heard. We've known that since we were, really, really young. People have always said everyone wants to be heard. So if you're the one that separates yourself from other salespeople by being a greater active listener and greater at summarizing them, you have now separated yourself from all of your competition. The other piece that I wanted to add to this is you have got to become an artist at asking questions. Mm-hmm. I believe one of the lost arts in sales is the art of asking questions. Here is why I believe that's so key and so important. People do not want to be sold, but they want to buy. So the way you do that is ask questions that are open-ended, where someone really has to explain to you what the problem is that literally brought them to speaking with you to begin with. What is that struggle? What is that's keeping you awake at night? And I'm going to share my greatest secret. So hopefully people won't steal it from them, but this is
here's the golden nugget moment right here.
This is it. Never, ever accept the surface level problem that they tell you. You have to do what I call the one layer deeper. You always go one layer deeper until you find the real source of that pain, problem, and struggle that they're going through. And that is something you do not do overnight. That takes time, that takes skill, that takes experience, because most people will tell you their surface level problem. Hey, I just want to make more money. Well, why do you want to make more money? Well, it would make my life better. How would it make your life better? Well, I could spend more time with my family. What specifically you want to do to your family, and which members of your family do. You've got to become almost an investigator. And what you're doing is you're trying to get to the source of the real problem. Once you have that, now the sale becomes almost a breeze.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a good tip, and I guarantee you somebody's going to use that. It is. So. What you're saying is true, though, and so I think you just pulled out what some really, really good salespeople do naturally, right? And they don't even realize what they're doing.
Correct.
Because I always try to do that. I don't know. I'm not really much into the sales call part anymore, but I do know when I do talk to people, I try to connect on a way deeper level than most people do, right? Because this world is all about relationships. We live in a world that is very self-gratifying right now. Everybody wants everything right now, right? And we have to learn to pull ourselves back a little bit when we're having these conversations and just go, I'm really not that important, and this is about you, right?
100%.
Instead of listen to myself jack my jaw, right? Pay attention to more what they have to say, because that's what really does matter.
Agreed. I also believe, and this is something that I know you and I learned in the military, is learn to compartmentalize. What does that mean? That means whatever it is that you're thinking, whatever your agenda is, put that off to the side for the time that you're spending with this individual. Compartmentalize. Right now, be fully present with this individual, and it means the world. I know for me, the reason that lesson stuck is I would be told, if we're ever in a time of war and I'm thinking about my problems when I'm in the trenches with my fellow soldiers, well, it could cost someone their lives because I'm not focused. I'm not fully present there. I need to be fully present there. Whatever is happening outside of that at that particular moment in time does not matter.
Yep, that's very true. Very, very true. And thanks for sharing that. That was a really great, topic of discussion to have on here, and really valuable. I know you've got years in the trenches doing this stuff, So it's like, you're getting to almost hear from a legend in sales, which is really, really, really cool for sure. I consider you a legend in sales.
I appreciate that, Jason.
For sure. But in that vein, so your sales business, your coaching business, all these different things, what's a real candid struggle that you've, went through in either in the last few years, the last 10 years? What's something you'd like to share that some of our younger up and coming audience could go, yeah, I don't want to get that arrow in the back?
Yeah. I mean, you should ask that. I am actually coming out of a major struggle, probably the biggest struggle in my life. And it basically just boiled around finances. And I think it went even deeper than finances. I think I went through a portion of time where I really started to question myself. I really started to question my abilities. And there's nothing worse in the world when you start to lose who you are because of a problem that arose. And instead of you literally just dealing with that problem at that moment in time, you start to look inward. So for those of you listening, you're going to have problems. You're going to have struggles. Things are not always going to go your way. And if there's one piece of advice I would tell you so that you don't go through what I went through for the better part of 2 years, and it's a much longer topic where I went through depression. I went through a state of loneliness where I really started to question, man, who am I? And am I a fake? And that helps absolutely no one, especially myself. So when you go through problems, don't internalize it. It is what it is. I think those words have come out of your mouth more times than I could ever express. You used to always remind me, Ivan, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. It's just that moment in time. Let it go and keep moving forward. So for those of you, when you do experience a problem, the only individual that can make that a big problem is you. Every problem is just a problem. We get to decide whether it's a small problem, a medium-sized problem, a big problem, or a gargantuan problem, and it doesn't have to be that way. So for me, Jason, I can sincerely say your words of wisdom, your insight on what I was going through really kept me coming back to that one statement. It's just a problem. Let it go and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's so true. And, it pains my heart a little bit to even hear you say you questioned if you were real or a fake, or, being the legend that you are. That's a bit that sticks right there in the heart for me. And, but on the same note, I mean, every business goes through some of this stuff, no matter what. Every owner, if you've ever owned a company in your whole life, and I like to tell young people this, there's a reason why everybody is not a business owner. Because if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? And it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. And you have to learn going through the rough times to just let it roll off, right? Let it roll off. And sometimes, even though this is not my philosophy, but sometimes you just have to hope it works out. Hope's not a course of action, and it's not a business plan. But sometimes you have to step back and go, I know this is going to work out, and I hope this is going to work out. Because then what it does is it triggers something in your brain to go, okay, I have a hope, but now I need to make a plan.
Yes. Agreed.
So, thanks for that. I mean, I know that, coming out and talking about some of those things, sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do, but I think you also get in a place in your life where it's like, I need to share these things in this world. That way the younger generation knows when they go through it that, well, gosh, my elders went through this same darn thing, right? So,
agreed. And it's also good for the elder generation because even though we've been through it, guess what? We may go through it again. And sometimes it's just a reminder. It's just a reminder. That's all it is. It's not that you don't know. Sometimes it just helps to hear someone else say, hey, it's just a problem. Let it roll off and keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Well, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I told you before we got on the call that, I wanted you to name somebody. So if there's one person throughout your entire life, mentor, whoever, somebody you love, whatever the case may be, that you could have had on this call today that could have helped influence the call or something like that, who would that be?
Wow. Yeah, I remember you asking me that. There's two people that come to mind, but if I had to choose one and only one, it would be Jim Rohn. That was the very first mentor that I ever had, even though he never knew it. But the life lessons that I learned from him absolutely transformed me as a man, as a human being, as a husband, as a father, is understanding just some of the key principles that he taught. So even though Jim Rohn is no longer with us here physically, he's always with me in spirit. I would definitely want to have him on here.
Right. What would be one question you would ask him?
I think the question that always lingers in my mind is, Jim, how did you get to such a state of humbleness with everything that you've experienced over the course of your life? Because even though at the end of his life, he died a multimillionaire, it wasn't always that way. And no matter what happened, the man always stayed humble. I would want to ask him that.
Right. God, it's so, in today's world, it's like we've lost a lot of the humbleness, right?
Yes.
And, you watch the news and TV and rock stars and movie stars and all this stuff. And it, no wonder we have some of the problems that we do have, for sure. But hey, thanks, Ivan, for all of that. Where can people get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of you for, reaching out for sales help and coaching and things like that? How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Instagram. My Instagram is probably the easiest way. Just look up Coach Ivan, and I'm going to pop up my big old smiling face. And feel free to message me through there. I check my Instagram daily. I respond to quite a few people that are following me now. I had a website, but I've taken it down. I really want to start focusing more on using my social media platforms to really communicate with my audience. So by all means, check me out on Instagram /Coach Ivan, and I would be happy to respond to you.
Awesome. That's great. Well, hey, Ivan, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on today. It's always an honor for me to get to interact with you. And, as always, thank you for what you do every day. And, just keep going out there and being awesome every day.
Thank you, Jason, for having me. And I do want to say this to the audience. Jason is so much more than just the CEO. This guy absolutely values relationships. And regardless of where you are in your life, he's always going to be there for you. So for those of you that don't know Jason, get to know him, realize that he's an asset. And this guy is a wealth of wisdom and a wealth of knowledge. And I appreciate what you do, my friend. I really, really do.
Awesome. Thanks again, my friend.
Take care.
Well, hey, thanks for coming and watching or listening to this episode of War Room Moments. This is Jason Miller signing off. And always remember, believe it, dream it, and achieve it. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to War Room Moments with your host, Jason Miller. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.